Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geeks and Noobs Podcast. I am your host, SuperBeard Vince Hoover, joined as always by Kel McCosplay. And ladies and gentlemen, do we have a fantastic episode for you today. But of course, first, getting all the social media jargon out of the way, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, click that like button. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. If you're watching this on Twitch, hit that follow button. If you're feeling ever so generous, please subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And you can also use your Amazon Prime subscription and make Jeffrey Bezos pay for it. If you're watching this on Facebook, please hit that thumbs up button, hit the follow of the page, and share it with your friends. Also, while we're not wearing it today, we do have merch. You can go check that out. There are links for that everywhere. It's in the Twitch. It's linked in YouTube. It's on our link trees on all our socials. So please go check that out. There's tons of merch. I wore last week the baseball 3/4 sleeve jersey. That's now available in several different color combinations. We also, for fans of our Wrestling with Toxicity podcast on Tuesdays, there's a brand new shirt for that. That is an all-over print. It's much more comfortable than the one we originally had. So I highly recommend that one as well. Now, that being said, you may notice that we are not wearing our merchandise today. We have a very different look, and I have to be honest, it's a look that might become my look from here on out.
But I think so, absolutely. I mean,
I am loving
who don't love a good classic Hawaiian shirt, man?
Yeah,
I mean, who don't?
And especially considering that these King Kamea brand ones are super comfortable, well built, and only like $16 to $18 per pattern. I may very well end up filling my closet up here very soon because I love this shirt. Very much.
It'll snazzy on you too.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, well, being a fat guy, Hawaiian shirts work best. Just ask Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah, exactly. Why does he wear them? Because they fit.
Yeah. But we are wearing these because last Friday was the premiere of the absolutely incredible and 100% accurate 100%. Biopic for one of the greatest musicians of all time, Weird Al Yankovic. Weird, the Al Yankovic story, premiered on the Roku channel for free for everybody to check out. So I highly recommend you go do so.
You have no reason not to watch this.
We are going to break down the film and discuss that, as well as Weird Al's impact on our lives and just his impact in general in both music and pop culture and everything else. And but before we get into that, some slightly breaking news we want to discuss is that Lionsgate released today the first official trailer for John Wick 4.
Yes!
And my God.
It looks so good.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. I was curious where it was going to go. And you get enough of the plot from the trailer to be like, oh, that's where they're going to go.
Yeah.
And this is all coming off the back of the first film was meant to be a one and done. A fairly low budget action film from first time directors, stuntmen turned first time directors. And it was just to be like, it was almost like a proof of concept that they could do this.
Mm-hmm.
Keanu Reeves being good friends with him as they worked on The Matrix and became very close there. And Chad Stahelski, who is the main director and head of all this, has worked on so many amazing classic action films and big budget films as a stunt coordinator. But they also felt like we can tell a story through action, as well as it just a compel. We know how to tell a story. We've worked in the film industry enough. We've seen how to do it. We want to give it a shot. And they went and did it with the first John Wick, which was meant to be a one and done.
And they could have ended it there, and the film would have still been a classic.
Yeah, it would have been one of those films, like, if it hadn't been, like, the massive success it was, it would end up in very much an instant cult classic.
Absolutely.
And, like, so if it hadn't, I don't think it ever would have not been successful, like, in the box office, but I don't think it was expected to be so incredibly successful as it was. I think it was more just like, this is a proof of concept that we can do this. It's a one and done story. But it was so successful, they're like, you guys got to do a sequel. And so they had to build a world based off the little nuances they threw in there. But that wasn't done before. Like, that was the Continental was a kind of not a throwaway, but it's kind of a cool little, like, hey, the Hitman world has their own little place to get away.
Yeah.
This kind of that, like, that has turned into this world building over 2 other films between John Wick 2 and 3. Absolutely sensational story. The markers, the worldwide continentals, the coin system, the money system, the way that messages are done, that whole like retro pinup looking thing with the operators, but and everything done like old school, but also with the highest technology, the bulletproof suits, which God, I want one.
Fuck yeah.
But so the whole thing, the whole world building, and then the epic ending of the third film set up like, how does this end?
Yeah.
How do they really like? But what it's also done is that there's going to be at least one, if not, I believe it might be 2 spin-off series coming. One I know is called The Continental, based around the history and lore of the Continental in that. And then there's one with Ana de Armas as the lead, and it's already been announced that Keanu Reeves would appear as John Wick through several episodes. I believe that one's kind of a prequel, like just before he retired kind of thing, which Keanu Reeves can play any age of Keanu Reeves because the man's immortal. I'm certain of it.
Yeah, whatever he and Paul Rudd are drinking to keep their youth. Good God. I mean,
Future says the one I heard was called Ballerina. That's the one with Ana de Armas. So that one's going to focus more on like what we saw in John Wick 3 with Angelica Houston. The ballerina stuff, like the it's kind of like their version of the Red Room for my Marvel fans. Where it's a school where art is taught, but art is taught in a very like it's a very Prussian, almost militant style of ballerina teaching, as well as for the men they're taught things as well, but they're also taught like samba and different things. And so yeah, ballerina, that's the one with Ana de Armas, and then there's one called the Continental, which will focus on the Continental and different places around the world. That, but yeah, it's one of those things. Like I said, by the end of the first movie, I was so satisfied. I was like, oh, it would be kind of cool to explore this world, but I wasn't like, I need to know what's going on. Like it was very much well done as a one and done. But then when I heard John Wick 2 was coming out, I got excited. And now it's just like, oh, what's going to happen? Where's it going to go? I got to know. I even remember my first trip to New York City. I made sure to go down to the financial district and go to the Flatiron Building, which the outside of the Flatiron Building is the look of the Continental in the films. And then the inside is the bar part of the inside was a place called Delmonico's, which I went and had a beer at and sat in the same corner table. I went and did all of that because I was like, I freaking love the John Wick movies. So, absolutely. Looking forward to that 100%.
Yeah. And from my own personal experience, I didn't get caught up in John Wick media when the first film came out. I actually waited because, I heard about the movie. I heard a lot of people say good things about it, but I just didn't check it out. I don't know why. I probably just had stuff going on in my own life and just skipped it. And then I don't think I watched the first one until after the third film came out.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I had some catching up to do. And then, I was like, you know what? I've heard a lot of good things about this. Me and my wife were trying to figure out something to watch. It was like, oh, here's this John Wick movie. I heard a lot of people say it was good things about it. She's like, okay, we watched it. I was like, oh my God. I got to see the other 2.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible what they've done. First of all, Keanu Reeves has, and is the only person to ever do this, has reinvented the action genre twice. First with The Matrix, because every film after The Matrix tried to copy The Matrix. And now with John Wick, they're all trying to copy. Yeah. But now with John Wick, once the first one came out and this gun fu fighting style was kind of created, and the way they did that, and of course Keanu Reeves gave 1,000%, went all in to learn all this stuff. That became, now every movie's trying to copy John Wick in the way they do things and these fight scenes. And it was also like these.
Interestingly enough, there's actually another movie that uses like gun fu, as you said, but in this movie they call it the gun kata, which was Equilibrium with
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, yes. which I love that movie too.
Well, that was kind of the inspiration for where these stunt, because they worked on that. The stunt guys
Yeah.
that became directors, they worked on that film. It was kind of the inspiration. They had the idea it bore out of them working on that film about this style. Like,
And
what if
it really shows?
Because
too.
Equilibrium is still a sci-fi film. It's still
It is.
So they were like, what if just like a hitman and the real, that kind of bore
Yeah.
into John Wick.
Right.
So John Wick was born off of that film from the stunt coordinator's room.
Yes, and phenomenal. If nobody has seen Equilibrium, go check it out. The
It's a cool
story is
film.
pretty good in it. It's a little difficult to follow, but it's
it's not.
terribly
There's a
hard.
reason it didn't do well, but
Yeah,
it's still
there
worth
is.
like at home. Just sit at home and watch it. It's a good it's a good one of those if you have nothing else to watch to kind of check out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so John Wick's this whole gun fu thing is kind of now you see a lot of things using it and the way they shoot it, they're shooting it. And of course, I think stunt coordinators being directors is kind of really smart when it comes to action flicks because they understand the limitations of a stuntman, including where the punch is and because you don't actually want to hit somebody. So having them move forward and help the cinematography out in a way. So, because again, even obviously with every film they've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and now we have CGI stuff going on and whatever. But you just watch that first one over again. It is shot so incredibly beautifully.
Oh, it's marvelous.
But also, they put in the text and everything at certain times, like random subtitles at certain points, or when he was speaking Russian, and then now that's become part of a thing. Like a lot of movies are using that as well. Like it really is a cultural moment in film. Future asked, because of John Wick, would you say Equilibrium was ahead of its time? In a way, yes,
in a way,
absolutely.
yeah.
And
I think it was definitely that factor that would lead into a lot of these newer action films today.
I can tell you watching Equilibrium now is more fun to do than back when it came out.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I would say it was ahead of its time. And it kind of does tie into what we're talking about today, because there's another film that took that kind of gun fu and then put it into an almost grindhouse film, and that's Guns Akimbo with Daniel Radcliffe. Which, my God, what a fun film that is.
Oh, man, that movie is awesome.
Guns Akimbo is ridiculous in
It
every
is.
way possible and in all the best ways possible. I highly recommend that movie. I don't even think it hits 90 minutes. It's kind of like if you think about Crank.
Yeah.
Just fueled constant go. But tied into the more modern, we live in a streaming world now. We live in a world where Twitch is king and YouTube is king and people are streaming all this, but it's kind of like if the Ready Player One movie had been good. I have so many issues with that. Cameos aside, it has phenomenal cameos in it, but it's not a good movie, and I feel so bad because I love Steven Spielberg. But Guns Akimbo is what the reality of that would be.
Yeah,
society would take it that route versus in where people live in VR and in Ready Player One and just live these lives. Even Free Guy, where Free Guy was kind of closer to what the real world would be. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Where Free World's a little bit or Free Guy's a little bit closer to it's like GTA, how people handle it, but you saw everybody watching it and whatnot. Yeah. Guns Akimbo is the reality of how the world would get.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that it would be a bloodbath. But I love, if you haven't seen Guns Akimbo, please go watch it. It's fucking ridiculous. It is insane. Love that movie.
In all the best ways.
Yeah. A lot of what Daniel Radcliffe has done since leaving Harry Potter, he's purposely taken very weird and obscure projects to kind of get out of the stereotype of Harry Potter. Swiss Army Man's another one I can't recommend enough. Horns is fantastic. He has
I still need to check that one out.
That one's really good.
It's on my list. I just haven't sat down to watch it.
He did this kind of rom-com film, and for some reason the name of it's all of a sudden escaping me. But even that's really good. It's got Adam Driver in it as his best friend. That's a good film. I can't think of anything that Daniel Radcliffe has done that I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
Including even The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum that just recently came out. It's on Paramount Plus. If you I think it's actually on Amazon now too, Amazon Prime. He plays the villain in that, but he's this eccentric billionaire. guy, and it's just he's so good, and he's the villain in Now You See Me Too, and he's phenomenal in that.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like he can't do any wrong. He's just so good, and so like a lot of people were weirded out, pun not intended, but pun
Yeah.
totally worked when he got cast as Weird Al for this biopic.
Yeah, I was watching an interview with Daniel Radcliffe on Jimmy Fallon earlier today, and he was saying how I was like, "Really, you want me?" And it's like, "You realize we look and sound nothing alike." I was like, "That doesn't matter. We just want you." And even in another interview that they did with, I believe it was Seth Meyers.
Yeah, the Seth Meyers interview. Yeah,
Yeah, the Seth Meyers interview where you have both Weird Al and Daniel Radcliffe saying that the reason why they really chose him because Daniel Radcliffe was number one on the list, and they had a few others, but they always came back to Daniel he because of his energy, because of the out there roles that he's been doing, Horns and Guns Akimbo and all those films that he's done. Just his energy matches up with what they wanted for the film, and it was fantastic casting choice. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Radcliffe kills it as Weird Al.
Yeah, he's so good because we made the joke about it being a 100% accurate biopic, which
Yeah.
no biopic ever is.
No.
And that's the thing is this is a parody of biopics because if you're going to do a Weird Al story, of course you do a parody of biopic.
Yeah, the best there's only one other movie that I could even come close to comparing Weird to, and that is This Is Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that is really where we got the term mockumentary.
Yeah, and dial it up to 11
from,
and
yeah.
yeah.
I was like,
So much came out of Spinal Tap did so much, but the mockumentary was developed by that because it's a fake documentary about this fake band. And whereas this is a real person and a real thing, but he's a man who made his entire career off parodying popular artist songs.
Yeah.
But in doing so, a lot of times made a better song.
Yeah. Sometimes, yes.
So, and then of course there's been this recent flood of biopics. We had Walk the Line, Bohemian Rhapsody, the Elvis one that just came out.
Yeah.
And while they're all beautiful, fantastic films, Oscar-worthy films, they're not accurate in the slightest. Like, one of my all-time favorites is Get On Up with the late great Chadwick Boseman as James Brown. Yeah. That film is phenomenal. It is so good. But it's not 100% accurate. Like, it's probably one of the closer ones. Mainly because, like, the way James Brown's life went, it was kind of fairly easy to keep on track for the most part. But, like, Bohemian Rhapsody is another great film, and I'm a huge Queen fan, but it is so out of whack on the way things are done. Like, there's so many things that it just, it's set up for drama, and that was literally co-written by Queen. Like, so even when the people are involved, they tend to get exaggerated. So who better to parody that than the parody king himself?
Exactly.
But and I want to mention, and I meant to mention this, but we had a perfect segue, so I had to jump into it. But I want to mention real quick before we go any further, and I'll probably mention it again at the end. I'm getting back into streaming games on this channel as well, and I'm doing something completely stupid. I did not think this through before I committed to it, but I'm committed to it. So, God of War Ragnarok is out. Which, by the way, it's been almost a decade. I can remember before we had the double disc PlayStation games.
Mm-hmm.
We're back to it. That's how big this game is.
I know.
There's a whole data disc, and then there's a play disc, and there's more to install on the play disc.
Yeah, that's the same way that Red Dead Redemption 2 was. Had the data disc to install.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yep.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Forgot about that. Okay, so maybe not as long as I thought, but still, it's still a rare thing. But it tells you how big the game is.
This world.
I have decided, starting tomorrow at noon Eastern, I am going to do a full, non-stop playthrough of this game. Now, Again, when I committed to this, I did not look up what it would be to play this. Because God of War 2018, I played that all the way through on a stream when I did it. I think it took me 10 hours.
Mm.
So I was assuming 10 to 12 hours would probably be it. According to the best estimates online, it's about 30 hours of playtime to play this game through. Now, there's a reason that my gaming side of this channel is called SuperBeard Plays Poorly. Because even though I've been playing video games for over 3 decades, I'm not very good at it. So I'm estimating at least a 48-hour stream out of me, and it's going to be a non-stop stream. So starting tomorrow at noon Eastern Time, I am going to be streaming on both Twitch and YouTube a straight non-stop playthrough of God of War Ragnarok. What the fuck am I doing?
I wish you told me this a week in advance. That way I could have stolen a catheter from work and send to you, because you will need it, buddy.
Well, yeah, I'm going to be drinking a lot of coffee. But thanks to the wonderful Jacksepticeye, which everybody go on YouTube and follow Jacksepticeye, his wonderful coffee brand, Top of the Morning Coffee, is fantastic, and I have quite a bit of it, so I'm looking forward.
There you go.
Not an ad, just I recommend his coffee because it is really, really good.
I mean, we'll gladly be sponsors.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to sponsor, please, by all means. He did. I put out a tweet about it, and both the brand Top of the Morning and Jacksepticeye liked it, and I put that on Twitter because I was like, oh, I've made it. I've officially made it.
in the door.
I have climaxed. It's great. But no, so back. I'll be sure to check in to make sure you haven't passed out from dehydration. I'm more worried about just passing out from sheer exhaustion. I already don't sleep as it is. So I'm really going to try to go to sleep tonight and get some rest before I do this. Because if I don't sleep and then try to pull a 48-hour full stream, my God.
Ugh.
That's insane. But anyways.
If I log on and see you not in the chair, I'm going
to
call
luckily,
you. Like, you okay?
I have full recline in this bit.
There you go.
So, yeah, I've got... Damn it. Now I got to reset it. There we go.
Found that sweet spot.
Nope, I missed it.
Oh.
There it is. Okay.
There it is.
Yeah, so back to what we were talking about. I just want to put that out there, and I'll mention it again. Anybody wants to check that out, I appreciate it.
Yeah, if anybody wants to go back and search on YouTube for the Weird Al Yankovic interviews leading up to this, I do recommend them because they give you so much insight, because there are some nuggets of truth in this.
Yeah, there's quite a few things, like, actually, and I Weird Al for me I've always said that there was 2 people that shaped my personality, but there's really 3. I've always said Stan Lee and Robin Williams shaped who I am, but Weird Al also did. And it's one of those things that I kind of like didn't really acknowledge that until fairly recently, when I realized, like, anytime, like, I watched all his Saturday morning show. I
actually started watching that last night.
Yeah, I watched UHF all the time.
Oh God, what a classic cult movie.
Yeah, I had I had every album he had. I watched every music video that came out. The behind the music on VH1, I watched. Any documentary that came out, I watched immediately. I had concert DVDs. I did finally, about 6, 7, maybe even 8 years ago now, I got to finally see him live in concert. That was a pure bucket list item for me. And it was on the his last tour, the Mandatory Fun Tour. I got to go.
Yes.
That was phenomenal. Close the night out with Yoda, which is one of my all-time favorite Weird Al songs.
Absolutely. I mean, I also saw him on that tour a few years back when he came to Nashville and was playing the Grand Ole Opry. Oh.
Did he do it where when he opened up, did he open up outside the building and come in?
Yes.
Yeah, so when he did Tacky, he like starts in the car and he gets out, and
he wasn't in the car. He was already backstage, but you saw him going through the hallways and everything.
Oh no, for us, he got out of the car out front.
Oh, nice.
And then came in through the crowd. He came in through the front doors, went through the crowd, and then went up on stage. And I thought that was just so. I was just like, I was mind blown.
Yeah, it was like he was like in, not backstage, but he was like in the entranceway. So now I think about it, yeah, he was outside, then he quickly came in.
Yeah, for us
And
it
he's
started.
just singing. So I was like, okay, they just done this and he's backstage. And we're just watching the video of them doing this early, and then he's probably going to come out and say, no, he came in through the front, through the doors where the crowd entrance, and then he's singing, and we're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's actually doing this live.
Yeah, it was so well done. Absolutely love him to death. And he's also one of the most genuine and good people in the entertainment business, not just music business, but entertainment business. The man's never had
for what it is. He's the most purest form of human ever.
Yeah.
I mean, say one bad thing about him that's true.
Exactly.
That's not someone's opinion. That is genuine fact that Weird Al has done something to cause controversy ever.
Despite the film, he's never had a sip of alcohol in his life.
He's a total teetotaler.
He is a vegetarian, but also not a dick about it. Obviously, and you see his songs, like he very much like talks about meat a lot in his songs. Like it's he's not an asshole about it. He did one thing I want to talk about. We'll talk about it later about people who didn't want him to parody their songs. He obviously has a great relationship with Paul McCartney, and he has done Paul McCartney parodies. But he was going to do a song. Which song? It was one of the Wings songs. It was one of Wings' bigger hits, and he was going to do it about chicken wings. Paul McCartney said, well, can you do tofu wings? And he's like, no, that doesn't work because there's a whole bok line, and it's got to be chicken. And so that was one time where Paul McCartney told him no, and he respected that. But yeah, he's just a genuinely. I don't think he's ever sworn. I can't think of any time the dude's even said a swear word.
Not publicly, anyway.
Yeah. He has a fantastic marriage. And has a great relationship with his parents, although again the biopic doesn't. But that's again playing the parody of every biopic that everybody came from a bad, relationship with the parents. But
yeah.
The closest controversy I ever heard was the Amish Paradise one and how Coolio didn't like it. Yeah, and the reality behind that is Coolio actually approved it. It was the record label, and Coolio, instead of trying to stick to his word and back the parody, decided to back his record label and come out, oh yeah, I didn't approve that, blah, blah, even though he had approved it. And then he apologized years later, saying that I never should have said that, should have just went with it. He's like, if Michael Jackson will let him make parodies, who am I to say he can't parody my song, kind of thing.
Right.
There were other ones like, he did the Perform This Way, but with the Lady Gaga song, I Was Born This Way, his Perform This Way parody, which a lot of people are like, that's not on an album. It was just released free on his website. It was weird because Lady Gaga was never told about it. The record label just immediately nixed it. And then when she found out about it, she's like, hey, wait, no, I'm okay with that. I'm cool with it. Like, what are you talking about? So he released it for free, He's one of those people, like the same with like the James Blunt song, Beautiful. He did Pitiful.
Yeah.
James Blunt, like, flat out told him, yes, please do it. But the record label was like, no, you're going to hurt your song. And they blocked it. And that's why he did a whole tour. He wore an Atlantic Records Suck shirt because they were the ones blocking it. But he then released it for free on his website. And again, James Blunt was like, yes, please. But, there's the very famous interview with Kurt Cobain where he's asked about, what do you think of Weird Al parodying Smells Like Teen Spirit? He's like, well, that's when I knew I made it in the music industry.
Yeah.
And that's referenced in the although that song isn't in the movie because this movie takes place up to 1985, which we'll get to that. That's a very interesting thing. And there's going to be spoilers, but I promise you it won't ruin anything for the film. It really doesn't. No. There's no like twist or turn kind of things, but it's totally worth the watch. But they talk about the Yankovic bump. And that's been this kind of like, you knew about it in the music. It's not really talked about, but if you get Weird Al to parody your song, it is a bump, and so it was unofficially called the Yankovic bump, and so they play into that into the film as well. It's so good, and something else that I don't think gets discussed enough, and hopefully this film will help brings some light to it is band.
Yes.
You know, it's John Bermuda Smorts, Jim, or not Jim. Crap. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up again and make sure I get their names right. But there's John Bermuda Schwartz, Steve J on bass, banjo, ethnic percussion, keyboards, and vocals. John Bermuda Schwartz drums, percussion, and vocals. Ruben Valteria on keyboards and vocals, and Ruben came to the band later. And Jim West, oh, what's right, Jim West? Guitar, banjo, mandolin, keyboards, and vocals. You want to talk about arguably the greatest band and most definitely the most underrated band, because these guys have to play every genre of music.
Yeah.
And they do it well.
So
not only well, but they are performers. They're not just standing on stage playing. They're in character as well. They do the whole thing. But
the costume changes everything.
Yeah. They are, and I love the fact that the band, unlike in most biopics where the band comes later, the band, they're roommates in college, and they kind of like, they're right behind them the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
We get that moment of the lead singer being bigger than the band moment. We get that moment, which of course never happened. In fact, Weird Al, I don't think would ever perform without these guys. I don't think there'll ever be a time he'll perform without them. And these guys also, by the way, they've done solo projects. They've done their own music, and it's really good. To look them all up because they all have something out there. They are just so criminally underrated as music.
Very, very.
And you and I have seen them live, so you can attest to the fact that live are even better.
Oh my God. I mean, just the atmosphere in the whole building when you're there watching Weird Al live, it's just, you can't help but just feel a joy that you have never felt before.
It's just so good.
Yeah. Also, one thing real quick, Vince. I just want to go back to the Seth Meyers interview real quick. This is not a big thing. This is a personal shout out that I want to do. But during the Seth Meyers interview, it was getting close to Halloween, and they showed people doing cosplays and costumes of Weird Al. And Seth Meyers, he holds up a couple of pics for Weird Al and Daniel to look at. And one of them was actually a mutual of mine on TikTok. Her name was Almond Moose on TikTok. Go check her out. Her Weird Al cosplay is chef's kiss perfection, because I think what it is that her and Weird Al both have very similar facial structures. So when she has the wig on and the mustache with the glasses, it is like you're looking at like early 90s Weird Al. So perfect. So definitely, I just want to give her a quick shout out real quick because she made it to net on late night TV. And I think the picture that he had was her zombie Weird Al.
Oh, okay.
Halloween, like last year. Oh, and it was so good. So if anybody's interested, go check out Almond Moose on TikTok.
That's something like every year Weird Al does. He posts a bunch of fan pics of like Halloween costumes about him. But this year was extra special because people had already seen the trailers and the TV spots for the movie coming out. So a lot of them were based around the movie, including the Madonna one, which, by the way, Rachel Evan Wood plays Madonna in this film. Fucking nails it.
Oh,
and
my God.
They did a rap party at the end of the filming, and they did a karaoke rap party. Apparently Rachel Evan Wood, and I sent you that one interview of her where she sang.
Yes.
Is a phenomenal singer. And I knew this from one of my all-time favorite musicals across the universe, which is the Beatles musical, which with Jim Sterling and Evan Rachel Wood. I highly recommend everybody go watch it. It is the only time I've ever heard, basically, for lack of a better term, covers of Beatles songs where they reinterpret the song that are actually insanely good. And every single one, they did so much honor to the Beatles songs in that movie, and it's just a really good film. So I highly recommend it. But there, I knew she could sing from that. I didn't know how good she was though, because
she is
Yeah,
incredible
and then
in the Jimmy Fallon
they didn't
interview.
know
Oh my
either
God.
because they didn't hear her sing until
They were
and she
doing
can
a
actually
karaoke at the
yeah, and she
after
can actually
party.
sound exactly like Madonna.
Yes. I mean,
And so like they're
when
like,
you
"Oh my
first sent me
God."
that, when you first sent me that, I thought she's limp singing because no way she's that good.
Yeah.
And
I
then she sings two other songs. Believe it was Alanis Morissette and oh, who was the other one? She from the '60s, Janis
Janis
Joplin.
Joplin. And she
Yeah,
sounds like Alanis Morissette and she sounds like Janis
and
Joplin.
both. I'm like, oh my God, she is incredible.
And the director's like, "Why didn't we have you sing in the film?" I would have loved to have heard her sing one Madonna song,
Yeah,
even if it was just a
but
couple lines of it in the film.
Weird Al actually, in a different interview, said why they didn't have her sing is because they couldn't afford any Madonna songs.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's the main reason.
But so yeah, she kills it as Madonna, which also in real context, Madonna and Weird Al have only met like 2 or 3 times in real life ever. Like they don't know each other.
Yeah, I was watching another interview today. I know I'm talking a lot about these interviews, but they're so good, and it gets you prepped for this movie. But yeah, Weird Al said he only met her once for about 45 minutes.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly. Yeah, and I
In
think
both of
the
their
other time they
careers,
met was
that's it.
I think the other time they met was in passing at an award show.
Yeah,
Like
probably.
he's mentioned like they've never talked that much. They don't know each other, but the fact that in this film she becomes Weird Al's girlfriend, but with the motive of trying to get that Yankovic bump,
Yeah,
and
she's the
basically ruin
main
his life.
antagonist
And
of
then
the film.
there's a whole drug cartel thing, but we won't get into that just yet. Well, and actually, by the way, the Pablo Escobar thing is actually true, not the end part of it,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that he's not Weird Al's
So
not an
yeah,
assassin.
he seriously was a Weird Al fan.
Not only was it a Weird Al fan, he sent invitations to have him come perform at his birthday parties.
Oh wow, I didn't see that
That
one.
happened.
Oh wow.
That actually happened. But like, the film starts with him as a kid, and he's secretly looking at accordions like it's porn under the sheets kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
The reality is he really knew nothing about accordions except for his mother was a huge polka fan.
Mm-hmm.
And a door-to-door traveling salesman, which is depicted in the film, sort of, had come to the door, and he was selling lessons,
Yeah.
not the actual accordion itself. He was selling accordion lessons, but it was electric guitar lessons or accordion lessons. Parents chose the accordion lessons, and the rest is history. His father was very much I think his father was actually a used car salesman. I don't think he worked in a factory. But I just think that's great because that's, again, parody of biopic where every musician's father worked in a factory, but they never said what they made.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that joke. It's such an easy joke, but it's such a great joke.
Is.
But like his father was very supportive. Like they were, he grew up in a very loving family, and they were very supportive the whole time. But like we talk about nuggets of truth, when he does finally get out on his own and he's living in college with his roommates who end up being his band members, he did record My Bologna, his first ever song, in the communal bathroom in his dorm.
Yeah.
And you can really hear it if you listen to the original track of that. You can really tell it was recorded in a bathroom. And he did send it into the radio station. I love the fact that Weird Al himself plays the kind of snobby record label guy.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was really funny. Will Arnett is great.
Oh, I am not the biggest Will Arnett fan, but he was fantastic in this.
I think Will Arnett's better and I don't mean this as a slight to him. I think he works better as a supporting character.
Yeah.
Like when he is able to play, when he's not the lead and he can just play off other people and just go nuts, he is so good.
Yeah, I agree.
But when he has to be the lead, I think something falls a little flat.
Yeah.
When he doesn't have to worry about carrying anything, I think the pressure's off and he just goes. And that's when I love him the best. And I said Will Arnett, and am I saying the right person?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah.
I gotta look up the
Yeah,
cast because
MacGruber.
because now I'm like, because part of me is like, wait, am I saying the wrong name? Because there's also
There's so many cameos in this movie. It's hard to
that
keep
is true
track.
too.
Oh my god, this movie is crammed full of cameos, but they're
Will
not
Forte.
like Will Forte. Yeah,
Will Arnett is another
on?
great actor, a comedic actor who I love so much, but Will Forte is who I'm thinking of here. Will Arnett, I think, can carry a lead, but I think he still is one of those better guys where he's playing off somebody. But Will Forte is who we're talking about here.
Okay, yeah. Apologies.
But I mean, you've got Lin-Manuel Miranda as a doctor, pops in. You got Rainn Wilson as Dr. Demento. Amazing.
Oh yeah, his
Jack
Dr. Demento
Black
was
as
top.
Wolfman Jack, the very famous radio announcer.
Yeah.
Anybody who's a fan of Unbreakable, Split, and Glass, one of the band members is freaking Spencer Treat Clark, the son from those films. You just had Thomas Lennon. Thomas Lennon was the accordion door-to-door salesman. That was great.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic in so much stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm trying to see if I can find. I'm trying to see if I can find a list of all the. Oh, and then the person that's the narrator is freaking Diedrich Bader.
Yeah.
It's like, what the?
Yeah, it's like Weird Al is supposed to be narrating his own story in this, but it's clearly not him.
Yeah. I'm trying to get to the cameos. We had actually you mentioned Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Michael McKean was the sleazy
Michael McKean
MC
was
at
in
his
it,
first one. You had Patton Oswalt as a heckler.
Mm-hmm. Both of which appeared on Weird Al's Saturday morning show. I just saw them last night.
Yeah.
A couple of episodes. But still, it's just, and I think what makes this parody of biopics so good is that they don't play it like a parody. It's like the acting is not parody-ish.
I think legit.
It's not like Mel Brooks.
Yeah, I think legit this could get an Oscar nomination. I know he makes a joke of it in the end credit song.
Yeah.
But legit, this should be nominated.
At least.
It's so good.
It is.
But yeah, the movie's played very straight.
Yeah.
Which I think is so smart.
I mean, there's jokes in it, but it plays like if someone just made a joke in one of these actual biopic films. It's very straight. There's no one.
Most of the jokes are not they're not quote unquote meant to be jokes. Yeah. Like it's meant to, like, we get the joke because we know they're full of shit, but they're playing it again very straight, very like this
so
actually happened.
Straight. I mean,
like the pool party where he on the spot writes another one rides the bus.
Yeah.
Like, and I want to go through the cameos in that because holy shit.
Yes.
So, the cameos, first off, are huge, but then they're playing other characters that like are cameos in and of itself. So you have 2/3 of Lonely Island in it. Jorma Taccone plays Pee Wee Herman, and by the way, was born to play Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, that's the next biopic we need to
get. Yeah.
I mean, he was spot the fuck on.
So you're saying this is a better parody biopic than Walk Hard? Ooh. Okay.
See, I would say yes.
I'm gonna say yes because this is an actual biopic where Walk Hard is a completely fictional character. But let me tell you something. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. Holy shit! What a great film and a great soundtrack. I never knew John C. Reilly could sing that well.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend people, and Amy Adams as well, go get that soundtrack if you don't want to watch the movie, but also watch the movie because it's really funny. That one is that's a biopic parody. It's a mock biopic. This is actually a real biopic, but a parody of the genre, and a lot of falsehoods in it. But that's because they dialed the falsehoods up to 11. Spinal Tap reference. Because every biopic dials the drama up to 11 to make the film more watchable and more enticing.
Yeah.
But they're not factual. So they're not quite in the same category. Like, Walk Hard doesn't fall into biopic territory because it's not a real person.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just a parody
And,
film.
and plus, think of it like Walk Hard is in the same style as like Mel Brooks parody films.
Yeah.
But Weird, like I said earlier, is closer to This Is Spinal Tap.
Yes.
Where it's meant to be actual real, but it's a parody.
Yeah.
Of that.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
But I mean, looking at this, so at this pool party, there's so many people there. So again, we had Jorma Taccone as Pee Wee Herman, Akiva Shriver, the other one from Lonely Island, as Alice Cooper. You had Paul F. Tompkins as Gallagher.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite comedians out there, Dimitri Martin as Tiny Tim. Conan O'Brien as Andy Warhol.
That was great. I love that one.
Weird Al's best friend, Emo Phillips, as Salvador Dali. Jack Black, as I mentioned, as famous record or famous radio DJ Wolfman Jack. David Dasmalkin, Malchian, who we know from the Suicide Squad as Polka Dot Man and the Ant-Man films and so many other things. He was John Deacon, bassist for Queen.
And it was just like suggested another one.
Yeah,
That's the Dust for a parody.
Just so freaking funny. Well done. I just popped for Conan as Warhol. Yeah, and he nailed it.
Yeah.
They all nail these characters, and they're not over the top representations either. They're like spot on impression. So it's just like, it's absolutely incredible. Like just the cameos we got in this, and the cameos of the cameos. At one point, they're at a restaurant and they have a waiter. Their waiter is fucking Josh Groban. It's Josh Groban.
Yeah.
Seth Green was a radio DJ. See here, we got. What else we got? We had like a guy I don't know, James Preston Rogers, but there was Hulk Hogan and Diana Ross at the award show. Just so many crazy. And of course, it's just a guy like Weird Al. Of course, people, even if they don't know him. He obviously has a lot of friends in the industry because he is such a good person. But because he has that reputation, that reputation of being a wonderful human being, people were dying to be in this film, obviously.
Yeah.
And my God, it is so good. It is so good. And I love oh, Jason, thanks for the like. Please remember that he owns Mad Magazine. Oh, I think Weird Al did buy Mad Magazine.
Did he?
Yeah, because it was dying. Like it was going to get shut down, and I think you're right. I think he did buy it. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, if you weren't, I was about to. But yeah, the film is just absolutely amazing, and just the way they tell the story is so engaging.
Oh,
and you
no,
laugh from...
he didn't buy it. He was just editor in chief for one issue.
Oh,
he was editor in chief for one issue, and then he says he's profoundly sad over Mad Magazine being canceled. So yeah, he doesn't own it, but he took over for one issue. But obviously, Mad Magazine had a big influence on his life, and
yeah,
because that's obviously
you
a big
actually see
a
couple of posters from Mad in Al's room when he was a kid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that whole magazine is a parody magazine, but I think one of my favorite touches in this film was, again, because you want to have controversy in your biopic to help sell your biopic, even if it's not real. He writes "Eat It." Like, he gets tired of being a parody artist. He writes the song "Eat It," as a completely original work, and then Michael Jackson ripped it off.
Yeah. I mean, that was just
I,
great.
I was like, "Are you kidding me? That
Yeah.
is so good. It's so good."
And
Oh my God.
when we were watching it last Friday, I was like, I looked it up, and Beat It came out in 1982, and Weird Al didn't parody it officially until 1984. So
Yeah, but I know there were people who are like, because even I had that split second of like, wait, did it come out first?
yeah,
Like, I was like, no. But like there was a split second moment because like there are people who try to talk about like, and I'm going to use Bohemian Rhapsody because it's one of the most recent ones.
Mhm.
Talk about things in Freddie Mercury's life based off that movie. But the thing is, that movie, the timeline is so jacked up in that film.
It really is, yeah.
And so they act like they're experts because they watch this biopic, but the reality is they're so way off base, but they'll argue to their death. And I think that Weird Al realized this when making this film. And so that's why he put stuff in there. Like, is he like, again, I know for a fact that Eat It is a parody of Beat It to the point where the video is a ripoff of the video. Like,
Yeah.
But even he's like, oh, you got to do a wardrobe change. He's drunk at this point because Madonna has him drinking. Again, he's never had a lick of alcohol in his life. But he's just like, oh, it's time for a wardrobe change in the middle of his show. And like, he's like, no, I'm not wearing that jacket again because now it's a Michael Jackson jacket. He stole that from me. I'm not wearing like, no, he wore that jacket in the video because it was a Michael Jackson jacket to begin with. Just, my God, it's so good. And like, he makes up like a surgeon after he's
in a car accident, fight, driving drunk.
He's drunk, shows up to the show late for sound check, talks about, and there's that wonderful weird, you're the normal ones, I'm weird, I'm the weird one. And like, it's just a rip off of like, I'm the only normal one here, like I'm the most important one here. So he pisses off the band. He gets in a fight with Dr. Demento, who's playing his agent as well, which that didn't happen either.
No.
He helped him record his first album, but after that, they were just but like, Madonna's influence or whatnot gets him drunk. He goes drunk driving, gets in an accident, is pronounced dead, and then wakes up from that, but didn't do the blood transfusions. But he goes to go and perform. But he literally like makes up the song like a surgeon, but somehow has the dancers, has the stage set up. Like he made it up that night, but for some reason the entire performance is still ready to go.
Yeah.
Like it's so ridiculous.
Like Madonna goes in there after he wakes up. It's like, he has to go. He's got 30. It's like, we have 30 minutes till showtime. It's like, but still, he gets the surgical gown. He probably just stole it from the hospital. Let's be honest.
But like, it had the bed. He had the band. The band knew the music. Like, he wrote it on the way to the show.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, oh, it's so. And then the movie takes like this huge like twist of a turn, which again, I'm not ruining anything. Like, I promise you, when you watch it, you're still gonna love it. But because he keeps turning down Pablo Escobar, they kidnap Madonna. So he flies into the jungles of Panama to like.
Oh, no, not only that. It's like, even when they're kidnapping her, they have a big action scene.
Oh, yeah. They're in a diner, and like he has this big. Oh, that fight is amazing, by the way. Which, by the way, anybody who doubts that Daniel Radcliffe could play a superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, go watch this fight scene in the diner. Holy shit. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, because like. I would watch him as Wolverine. I would.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. Like I
totally ship Daniel Radcliffe for Wolverine now.
Well, Tedrick Edgerton is still my top pick, but a very close number two, pretty much a 1B, is Daniel Radcliffe. Even though he thinks he wouldn't do it justice, he sells himself short. That's not a joke on his height, but
could be a joke.
By the way, another person that I think is a genuine human being and somebody I would love to hang out with is Daniel Radcliffe. Just watch any interview of what he's ever done. Mm-hmm. He's incredibly humble, been a part of one of the largest film franchises in the history of anything.
Yep.
And yet is so just, he loves doing theater. He loves to just do these weird, quirky roles just to be experimental. But he's also just a genuine human being. He's in a, there's no controversy behind him whatsoever. on anything. And I think that genuinely he would be a fun person to hang out with as well.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
I think the rap party for that would have been one of the most incredible experiences. Because,
Hmm.
like, I think the most controversial person in the entire film is Rachel Evan Wood, and most of her controversy revolves around her relationship with Marilyn Manson, and that's not really her fault.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm very proud that Fame didn't turn Daniel into a monster. Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Like, I'm sure he was worth hundreds of millions of dollars by the time Harry Potter was over. And that very well easily could have gone to his head, and it didn't. He lives in New York.
Thankfully.
Like, he does live in New York now, but he walks the streets like a normal person. He's willing to take little cameo roles like they did. What movie was it where there was a film where he was a dog walker? That film kept playing throughout the film. Oh, Trainwreck with Amy Schumer. And he was just approached to do that role. And he's just like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, it'd be fun. And they filmed it his part in one day in New York. And in that photo, there was a paparazzi photo of him walking the dogs. And it got out like, oh, he's down his luck. He's had to be a dog walker now. I was like, no, just for a role. But he ran with it for a while. He also, like, when he was doing one of his Broadway shows, he wore the exact same outfit every day when he left for 6 months. So the paparazzi couldn't use his footage because he's wearing, like, it looked like the same. It looked like all the pictures were taken on one night because he's wearing the exact same clothes.
That's actually
Yeah, so
genius.
it got to a point where they just stopped bothering him. So he doesn't get a lot of paparazzi anymore because he's done things like that. Instead of him like attacking a cameraman or, ranting on online. He doesn't even have a Twitter or anything like that. He doesn't do social media. He avoids all that. He's in a wonderful 10-year committed relationship with his girlfriend, and he just loves to do what he does, and he's a very regular, down to earth person. Incredibly humble, because, like, go watch some of the Lost City interviews with Sandra Bullock, the Sandra Bullock, and she's praising him, and he just can't, like, no, like, you're Sandra Bullock. That doesn't make sense that it's coming out of your mouth. But everybody, like, he was the number one pick for Weird Al. For
Mhm.
Lost City, he was Sandra Bullock's number one pick. Like, there's a reason. He's really a good actor and a good person to have on your cast. So yeah, there's just like that rap party would have been just an all-out banger.
So that would have been so fun.
Yeah, it would have been ridiculous. Like the whole thing, the red carpet event to the movie to the after party, the rap party, the whole nine would have been a blast. This movie is, I've watched it 4 times now since Friday.
Yeah.
It's so good. And the fact that, like, it's only up until 1985, and then there's like this part I won't spoil. I won't spoil that part of it from the award show on.
Yeah.
But by the way, they do a great job of making you stick through the credits. There's a post-credit scene in this film, and
Yep.
it is a post-credit scene. But also, he wrote a brand new song for the movie for the credits. And it talks about it being for the credits, and also being that now the film can be nominated for an Oscar for soundtrack or best original song. He mentions that in the lyrics. So watch this movie with subtitles on, because I highly recommend that as well. But it's just so it ends in 1985, and anybody, like, 1985 is when his career really started.
Yeah.
84, 85, like, yeah, My Bologna was big and all, but Eat It is the one that really got him started, and then it was Fat, which was what, 89?
Something like that.
Denise is like, you spoil? No, LOL, great show, gents. Thank you, Denise.
Thanks, Denise.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do the main ending spoiler, but the fact that the film, this guy who's still alive, by the way, still has an amazing career, keeps reinventing it, and which, by the way, I read another interview he did. He's probably not going to release another album in traditional album sense, because he sees one thing he's always done is been on top of the trends. He sees that digital streaming music is the way to go. So I think he's just now it's gonna be more about releasing just songs at a time. Like, write a song to fit the moment, put it out there right away. So instead of a parody taking a year or two to get onto an album, because he's building up all the songs, then the song may not land as hard. Some of the deeper cuts don't land nearly as hard for some people. He can now just parody a song as it's hot. He wants to do a parody of WAP. I don't know what that's going to end up being, but
oh God, I can't wait to hear that.
And he's currently on tour now. He was just here in Orlando in October. I didn't know. I'm really upset that I missed that.
Yeah.
And apparently the Nashville show you checked, it's sold out. Although I found some tickets online. It depends on what I think they're resale tickets.
Oh, okay.
But I think there still might be also I want to do the full experience one time around. VIP meet and greet. Because his meet and greets are not his meet and greets are a party. Like they're before the show. They're not after the show. And he comes in and hangs out with you. Denise says he should do a venture with Danny Elfman. I mean, maybe, but Danny Elfman doesn't have music with lyrics.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would work, but there's like, and here's what's crazy about it. So obviously, the Weird Al, he's parodied some controversial music people. Michael Jackson's always kind of had controversy around him, even though most of it turned out not to be true. But then, of course, there's like, he has his song Trapped in the Drive-Thru, which is a parody of Trapped in the Closet by R. Kelly. R. Kelly, obviously incredibly controversial, to the point where all his music's getting like pulled off of Spotify and all this stuff. He's in jail now for a very long time. However, Trapped in a Drive-Thru still holds up. It's still phenomenal. And I don't even know who you are anymore. I love that song. It's so good.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
But it doesn't hurt Weird Al in the slightest.
No.
It doesn't hurt him in the slightest. And that's what's amazing. Like I'm not saying he's bulletproof, but like, because he's just lived a good life and done things the right way, and he doesn't have to ask anybody for permission to parody a song. That's how parody laws work. He can parody anybody's song without their permission, but he always tries to get their blessing, which is why he never did a they forgot the onions. Yeah. He has parody of Prince songs that he'll never release because Prince never wanted him to do it. And he's just like, no, don't parody my music, you know? And so, okay, fine. He has that one I talked about earlier with Paul McCartney, where he's done several Paul McCartney songs, but there was one where Paul McCartney didn't agree to it. It's like, I'm a strict vegetarian. I don't want to have anything involving meat in my songs. And even offered him an alternative. Can you do tofu wings? He's like, no, it doesn't work for the song. I just won't put it out.
Yep. Which absolutely just adds to his character as a person. Like we said before, you know, you have to put Al on the top pedestal of this is what humans should be.
Yeah, I think he's right out there. Especially in the entertainment industry. He is somebody that everybody should look to because he always has fun.
Mm-hmm. I think the pecking order should be like Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Weird Al, in that order.
Yeah. I think he's definitely, like I said, especially when it comes to the entertainment industry and people who are famous. I can't think of anybody else at the top of that. Like, just no controversy, always has fun, takes everything in stride. Just a wonderful human being. And so again, Denise says absolutely, Kel. So like I don't want to say bulletproof, but his actions have made him near bulletproof to that kind of stuff. He has that Trapped in the Closet song. He has other songs with controversial people that he has parodied, but his parody lives forever.
I don't want to make that a shirt now, like at a medal ceremony with Mother Teresa on third place, Gandhi on second, and then Weird Al taking the gold for best human being.
He's just he's a wonderful, wonderful soul. And here's the thing: if they had made a genuine biopic, like the future's like, sorry guys, I stopped paying attention. I'm watching the movie now. That's fine.
Don't blame you.
Just leave the stream up and lurk in the background. You're fine. Watch the movie. But if they made a genuine biopic, like even his behind the music, they had a hard, like it was kind of hard to make it interesting. And so a lot of it focused on the music itself versus his life because
Yeah.
he's as vanilla as it comes.
Yeah.
There's no controversy. There's nothing there. Jason asked favorite song and go. Yoda hits mine. Yoda for me.
So many. One song that I've really been listening to a lot lately is Albuquerque. I don't know why.
Love
I just
that
love.
song.
Oh,
And okay. So Albuquerque is an original song. Now, when we talk original songs, which by the way, another very underrated part of Weird Al and his band is his original songs are so good.
yes.
There's one called "Everything You Know Is Wrong"
Yes. Oh,
on the it's on the Amish Paradise album.
Bad Hair Day.
Bad Hair Day.
Yeah.
Everything You Know Is Wrong. That's my all-time favorite one of his. But he has he has these like beautiful ballad love songs or like broken heart songs, but then like they're like I'd rather crawl naked through 1,000 shards of broken glass. Like it's just so over the top ridiculous. He does not get enough credit. And I think that's something they approached in this movie with him writing the original song Eat It, because he doesn't get enough credit for his original music at all.
Yeah. No,
it never gets played on the radio. Whenever his stuff got played on the radio, it was only parody songs.
And another thing, I absolutely love his polka medleys of popular songs. Now, if you get to see him live and he does his medleys, oh my God, they are so damn good. I mean, and he's not pairing them. He's just playing these popular songs on the radio at the time that they're popular on the accordion and making a polka out of them.
Alternative polka is probably my favorite.
Yes. You got so many alternative rock songs.
Future's at the scene where the dad's beating the shit out of the accordion salesman.
Yes. Because his dad in the film is
Thomas Lennon.
hardcore.
I love Thomas Lennon.
Yes.
Oh my God.
But yeah, and his dad in this film is very strict about him not playing the Devil's Squeeze Box.
Yeah.
But you find that out later.
Yeah, the whole reason behind that, like the whole backstory. Again, if they had tried to make a genuine biopic, it would not do well at all because it would be so boring, and it would just end up being a video catalog of his songs because that's all you could do. It's like like I said, the behind the music, they had the hardest time making that kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Mainly because it was just like, we'll just focus on the songs and what happened with the song. The only controversy they had was the Amish Paradise one.
Yeah.
And that behind the music came out right after, it was kind of promoting Bad Hair Day. So that was at the end of the freaking thing. Like they had yeah. But to me, it's very fascinating because I love the person that is Weird Al.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many little things that are like, oh, your name, Al Yankovic, we got to change it. It's too long and clunky. What about this?
Off the tongue.
Weird Al Yankovic. I love it. Like, yeah, it's just so. By the way, I also like, and this is like kind of non sequitur, but can we talk about how great and subtle Daniel Radcliffe's American accent is?
Very. Oh my God.
I forget he's British all the time.
Yes. I mean, he sounds like very, like, it's hard to place where you would put his accent because
that's the best thing about it.
Yes.
He didn't pick a region. He kind of like
exactly. It's just
he just kind of like went with one. Yeah. So I think that's what's so smart about it. So Denise asks, what does he do when he's not making epics? I think he's just living his life.
Yeah.
Just going to the zoo or going shopping. Like he'll post every now and then on that there a Weird Al burger. I actually do think there is in one of those like places in New York, like or it might be in LA, but like there's one of those like those famous restaurants where they always have like the famous people burgers. I think he has, or at least had one. What's funny is he can't eat it because he's vegetarian, unless they make it out of impossible meat now. But these
irony,
yeah. Oh, another great interview to watch, by the way. Watch Weird Al's Hot Ones. He's eating cauliflower wings. He talks about how he's very much not a spice person at all. He's very, very lives up to white and nerdy. Which I almost like, by the way, before buying the Hawaiian shirt, white and nerdy was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
He sold out on his website of all his white and nerdy gear. And I couldn't find a good like one on Amazon, but then I was like, oh no, I'll do Hawaiian shirt. Very glad I went Hawaiian shirt because I love this shirt very much. But yeah, just that interview, like I cannot praise enough the man that is Weird Al, and I think you should watch everything you can find about him. If he's coming to town near you, do whatever you can to see him live. It is honestly a bucket list event. It is so much fun. You will not stop smiling. Yeah.
Like going back to his live concert, I can't not remember the song he did, but it's like a "Let's Get Down and Busy" kind of song.
Yeah. Hang on real quick. The niece was at that concert I went to too. Like, okay. we bought tickets, but it was weird. We ended up having to split up. So I sat on one side with her uncles, and then she, Brandon, and her mom sat on the other, kind of on the other side, a couple aisles down. He walked right by them. So when the aisle he went down was literally, and they were on, I believe, Denise, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you guys were on the aisle. He walked right by your mom. Yeah. And her mom is one of the biggest Weird Al fans too. And of course, Brandon's a huge Weird Al fan. And, yeah, I know, and so that's why we all went. But
yeah, I know we were there, and he was doing this song. It was, I cannot remember it for the life of me what it was, but it was like, I want to make love to you. And he's literally crawling. Grinding. Yeah. He's crawling when we were at the Opry, and he is on the pews there, and he's just crawling from pew to pew over people, grinding in people's faces.
Yes.
He's grinding on one woman's face right here while singing to another. And it's just hilarious. Nobody is offended.
Yo.
People are just loving it.
Yeah, Denise says, like, yeah, he almost chose her to lap dance on, LOL. Yeah, yeah. She almost got one. I remember I was losing my shit too. I was like, that is so funny. Because again, and he started doing that in the Apocalypse tour, which is the DVD I had, and that's the link I sent you, the YouTube of the full concert.
Yeah, yeah.
And he does it there, but like that song again, I talked about his original songs, and like that one's kind of like a love song, ballad song, but like it's one of those like it's sexy time songs.
Yeah, yeah.
But listen to the fucking lyrics. Like they're insane.
Yes.
They're absolutely insane. And it's so good. But then like he just like again, yeah, he's like climbing over people, he's getting up and grinding it and like dancing in there like oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. If he
had an ass, he'd be twerking.
Oh my god. It's so good.
It is. I mean, no joke, people. If you have the opportunity to go see this man live in concert, do it. You
watch
will not
this
be
movie.
Disappointed. You wish you would have paid double to watch this man. I mean, it's so good.
I recommend.
You will have a smile on your face for 3 days afterwards.
I highly recommend you watch the movie. You go on Spotify or YouTube or wherever, go on YouTube, watch every music video he's ever done. Listen to every album he's ever done. Try to find concert footage and then go see him live. It's a phenomenal experience. And I think with watching the movie, like now I know, like, again, absolute bucket list seeing him live, but now I kind of like, I want to like I'm thinking about in February, like trying to find a way to get us tickets off the resale and driving up to Nashville. That ticket price is nothing on memory. You're absolutely right. And they're not expensive. This man is a literal icon, a generational talent. He is literally somebody that is like on a whole different level. And yet his ticket prices are never insane.
Over the top. Yeah. I spent like $300 on tickets. Now, when I say that, I thought I was getting 2 tickets. I thought that's reasonable to go to a concert.
Well, you were also at the Grand Ole Opry too.
Exactly. And then when I got the tickets, the physical tickets, I had 3. I didn't know I'd bought 3 tickets. So we found a buddy of ours, me and Frida, we found a buddy of ours and was like, hey, we got an extra ticket. Do you want to go? Hell yeah, I do. So
well, even the meet and greet, so the VIP meet and greet where you get to literally hang out for an hour with Weird Al before the show, it's $350. You get merchandise, you get a lanyard, you get to get there early, and you get to hang out with the man and the band. Like, that's nothing.
Nothing.
There are concerts to sit in the nosebleeds where you spend about that much. You're getting, the VIP gets the exclusive front row seats. That's part of it. You get like it's like the first 3 rows all the way around the front. Get the meet and greet. You get a lanyard. Get there's food at this meet and greet, by the way. So there's like a whole meal situation. You get to meet him. You get swag. Like I said, you get exclusive gear. Like that's a steal.
Yeah.
A steal. Yeah, and exactly, Denise. There's no one else like him. Literally a monopoly on the situation. He gets attributed to so many like terrible parodies, unfortunately, because he is the parody guy. And so there's so many there's songs out there and he gets like kind of lumped in with them, but like anybody that knows him beyond the fact that he's the parody guy, but has ever actually listened to him, knows it's not him. He's just man's a godsend, like really, like.
Oh yes.
And like I said, this movie, I've watched it 4 times now. It is so good. It is so much fun. It's so ridiculous and over the top, but in the best way possible. And like I said, like if nothing else, at least best original song Oscar. If not, but like the film should be nominated because it is so good.
Oh yeah.
The fact that it's free is even better, but I would have paid to go see this in the theater.
Absolutely.
No problem. It is so much fun. Daniel Radcliffe is a genius as well and just nails it and plays this version of Weird Al. It's God, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And like the whole like the scenes with the record guy is kind of a parody of what happened in the Bohemian Rhapsody film. And like the whole like he walks in with the Eat It original song and throws it at him and then puts a cigarette out on the guy's arm and like Weird Al doesn't smoke, Weird Al doesn't drink, never done a drug in his life, like just the purest, most wonderful person. And it's so funny. And like I said, they play it straight. There's like no actual even the parody songs in the film are played as straight. Like it's just like I'm taking the lyrics and making it better. Not I'm making a funny joke of the song. It's I'm making the song better with better lyrics. It's played so straight throughout the film, and that's what makes it so funny. And then of course the kind of twist with the whole Pablo Escobar thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But again, just great.
Yes.
Great.
Absolutely. I mean,
oh good.
There's not a bad thing we could say about this film.
No. I highly recommend everybody watch it. And again, there's no excuse not to. It's free. So just watch it. And my only hope is that like we can continue to get some collaboration between Daniel Radcliffe and Weird Al Yankovic. Like maybe turn this into a Broadway musical.
Oh wow, that would be
and
great.
Then let Daniel Radcliffe do the first run of it. Like I don't even know if anybody's thought of it. Like make this a Broadway musical. With the ridiculousness and the Pablo Escobar parts and the Madonna part, like turn this into an absolute like just a Broadway musical. Let Daniel Radcliffe do the first run, and it's the only thing I can hope for. So my brother asked, where can somebody watch this amazing movie? It's on the Roku channel. So if you have a Roku device, or even I think you can go on just Roku.com, and I think you can get the channel right through there, through the website if you don't have a Roku streaming thing. But definitely go check it out. It's so worth the watch. It is so good. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to wrap the episode up here.
Yeah.
Because all we're doing now is we're just kind of regurgitating the fact that it's an amazing film.
Much,
which it is.
Like I said, fantastic.
I hope that Weird Al and Daniel Radcliffe find some way to work together again. Turn this into a Broadway musical. It'll be phenomenal. I think that'd be great. Go check it out on the Roku channel. Weird, the Al Yankovic story. It's so good. Please go watch it. Also, like I mentioned before, God of War Ragnarok is out. I am stupidly going to do a full nonstop playthrough starting tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time This game is supposedly going to take 30 hours to play. I'll probably take 48 to get it done, but I'm going to play this game straight through. It's an incredible story. If you ever played God of War 2018, the situation of that, so very much good. So I'll be doing that as well. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Of course, like and subscribe. If you're on, please follow us on Twitch, on YouTube, all of those fine things. Feeling generous, please subscribe over on YouTube. It helps grow the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you very much. And as the great Kevin Pereira says, kisses, hugs, and belly rubs. We will see you guys